Hello, I am DlusionalNinja, back from yesterday, and today beside me is Tedium. How are you doing today, T?
I'm doing all right. I think I was eating something before this stream.
We're not talking about that abomination of a snack.
Everyone in this call was making fun of me, and I think it's not that insane. But
okay, if you want to die on that hill, the entire chat is going to lambast you, just like that food you ate is going to do to you in the bathroom later on. But that is an entire different conversation. Chat, Tedium earlier gets on. He's eating a tuna salad, but instead of mayo, it's cottage cheese.
It's got lots of protein. It's healthier. Come on, it's a good snack.
It's wrong.
Healthy snack.
It's wrong. That's all it is. We're going to get into the draft in a second here. Like Dave and Kev were just saying, it is Jbozo's team versus DlusionalNinja. A little bit about, to add on, Jbozo's kind of the sleeper pick of this event. Not many people knew who they were, but they're like a ragtag of friends from the Smite community. And we have a name that's been popping up by the name of Payload, who has been doing very well in this event. Kind of unsuspected, a little concerning at first, but they are a real person as far as we know. And there's someone to pay attention to, maybe pick up for a PCC team later on. You know, it's a proving grounds event right here. Yeah. So is there anything you'd like to see in the draft today? You know, the events have been going longer, lots of 45, 50-minute games yesterday. Think we're going to see the same thing today?
I think so. I think at this level, it's not, you know, PCC games, when it's a team that's really practiced with each other, they can snowball a game a lot more effectively. They can, you know, get a game closed out really quickly. I think in games like this, and, you know, just like in pub games, it's a little bit different. You can make a lot more mistakes. You can keep games going longer. There's a lot more potential for comebacks. And that's actually what makes it exciting, personally. But I don't expect them to be super short unless some critical errors are made.
I mean, and we saw a handful of those yesterday. We witnessed Crutch. You know, there's this constant game in the first set of this back and forth of Crutch being put behind by Jay's team and then kind of coming back into this like really neat fashion. You know, they may have objectively or statistically not had the advantage, but they put themselves in a position where they could still possibly win the game and then set themselves back. And both teams had that back and forth of like, oh, they could win this right now, and then the opposite thing happened. And, you know, eventually we saw the way the set played out, but could see a lot of that today too, right?
Yeah, wasn't that Crutch's team on their comeback? They were down 9 objectives. Like, it was insane, and they were still able to get the win. And that's what I'm saying.
They won the game on the back door.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that is something that I think is really possible in a tournament like this. So I'm hoping for something similar like that. And so yeah, I don't expect these games to go short.
All right, I'm happy to get right into the draft. You know, less talk, more show, as the storytelling motto actually is. So it's gonna be Team Jbozo on the Dawn side and DlusionalNinja on the Dusk side of things. First band coming through is going to be the Chimera. Is there anything you'd like to see in return? Any picks that have been popping up in the last day or so?
Aurora's been really popular, and I feel like Aurora has been really conducive to keeping your team in a game. She has really good base defense. Her wall can keep creeps out. Her wall can keep carries out from hitting the inhibitors. She can really just control the space around her base and around her inhibitors, so it's really difficult to break it. So I hope that we get to see more of that. There's also a lot of really cool plays that she can make, you know, with the wall, double jump into wall, jump into the pit, double jump back out. She's really, really interesting, and I hope we get to see more of her. But first thing we're going to see is this Grux, who, much like Aurora, is pretty dominant in this offlane.
Grux has a lot of versatility in the early mid game. You can build him very differently. The Decker ban coming through. Decker, probably one of the most versatile characters in the game. No matter what you do, she's always relevant. And seeing the way things are playing out, we're seeing the Howitzer first pick coming out of Ninja's team. Following up by a Steel. Not the most traditional first 2-pick combo that I'm familiar with, but, you know, maybe something's being cooked on Ninja's team.
I think it's really important to when you're playing as Howitzer, make sure the enemy team doesn't have a steal, because then his damage is just completely erased. So picking them together does make sense to me. Additionally, Steel just has so much control of a team fight. He's one of the best initiators in the game. He does have to, get in there. So he doesn't get this sort of ranged initiation, this ranged stun that we're going to be seeing on the other side from this Argus, who does have the benefit of that Dread Nova being a ranged AoE stun. Right. And Jbozo will also be pairing that with a long range parry in this Sparrow, who can get ran down. That's one of her weaknesses, and Steel pretty good at doing that.
Sparrow is not getting ran down this patch. That champion is absolutely criminal, disgusting, war crime nonsense. The champion has a 60% win rate right now, so I'm surprised we didn't see a lot of her in the event yesterday from what I saw, but I think that's going to start changing now that people know this information. Twin Blast, being the other ADC, popped up on the other team. Very big staple pick in the predecessor community as a whole. Solo queue, tournament play, competitive play, doesn't matter. There's always a Twin Blast somewhere around with how that character managed to operate and pilot.
Yeah, and then we see the Narbash ban come out from Delusional Ninja. I really like that ban. So far, Team Jbozo is kind of, they have a Grux who I wouldn't really consider late game, but I think Argus is really strong in the late game, and Sparrow is like the late game carry. So pairing her with a Narbash to just keep her alive, keep these team fights going, and keep this Sparrow damage going, her applying these stacks and just blowing people up, I think it's a good ban. And the Zarus ban for the other side is also good, because Zarus, someone else who can just run down the Sparrow. I know that you don't believe that she can be ran down, but Zarus is pretty good at doing
gross. Yeah, no, Zarus is really good at keeping her in a place and praying to God he lives just long enough for the team to kill the actual target. I would have liked to see Jbozo maybe pick up a Zarus for the team, because as much as Zarus is able to lock Sparrow in a cage, he's also able to lock the team in the cage for Sparrow, and that is, a really nice little condensed area for Sparrow's ultimate to just fly through and deal tons and tons of damage. Muriel going to be coming through there, followed by the Aurora and Gadget. So we are seeing a nice little team rounded out from Jbozo. T, is there any pick you'd like to see last before it actually gets picked? And what do you think Jbozo's team's actually looking to do this game?
Well, Team Jbozo is really looking to have an insane team fight. Sparrow ult, Gadget ult, Aurora ult, those will all work in tandem to control an entire zone of action. If you step up, you're pretty much going to die if you step up as a group.
Yeah. Grux has AoE CC as well as Argus, right? That entire team's able to zone basically the whole lane out if they so chose, and fighting them in the jungle, not going to be an easy pick. That is being answered by a Kallari. Very interesting pick. Kallari, kind of a hot topic right now with how relevant she could actually be, but I don't know if this is the team comp for the Kallari pick itself.
I think I agree with you. I think not only does Kallari, struggle into the enemy's team comp, I think she doesn't really work in tandem very well with her own. One thing I'm not loving about Delusional Ninja's team composition is an extreme lack of CC. Steel is the only one who has it, and based on this team composition, I'm expecting the Steel to be in the off lane, unless he's jungling and the Kallari's in the off lane, but I really don't expect that. Right. And when your Steel's in the off lane, he's not really around for these team fights in the early portion of the game. Maybe for the third Fang, he'll be around the mini prime, but really most of the action is going to be happening on the other side of the map or in mid, and I don't think Steel is going to be conducive to setting things up, because he's just not going to be there. The only other CC on the team is the Howitzer boot mine.
Steel's the only frontliner there as well, right? Like they only have one engage. They have the Howitzer slow, the boot, as you just said, and then Steel. And after that, you're just praying to God things kind of work out and your damage is able to actually do damage.
True. And luckily they have a lot of damage on their team. As you said, Kallari deals a lot of damage. Twin Blast deals a lot of damage. Howitzer deals a lot of damage. And luckily for them, their frontline could potentially survive quite a long time, despite being only one hero on the Steel, because of course he's got that shield wall, which is going to block a lot of damage from the Sparrow. Sparrow's ult is negated by that shield wall. And of course, the Muriel giving her tank a big shield is also super important.
So let's get the game going. It is Jbozo versus DlusionalNinja. And we're going to go right into it. Off the get-go, we are seeing Payload on the gadget, who was, who I had mentioned, the person to look out for this game. They're going against some good players overall. We have Pop Hero, we have Pushka, Blast Pyrex, is really showing up lately, and Soul Reaper and Chicken. Like, there are some big players in this game overall. To see how some of these new names compete against them is something I'm really looking forward to. Do you have any predictions on how the game might actually play out?
Well, as we were talking about earlier, Payload, a name that, we're surprised to see just popping off, a new name, and we're all really excited. But now he's going to be facing off against a very known quantity in Soul Reaper in the mid lane, and playing a character that I think Soul Reaper pilots really well, this Howitzer, who I actually think has a pretty decent matchup into Gadget. He can poke from afar. He can boop her back towards himself when she runs away, goes through her gate. He can be like, no, come back. You're not
We're
leaving.
not done here. We're not done here.
So
That's
I actually
not how
think
that one's working.
I'm really excited to see this mid lane matchup, Soul Reaper versus Payload. I think this is going to be what we're going to want to look at.
Yeah, so Payload basically showing up every game in the event so far with like a 5+ KDA, going like 9-1, 10-1, 13-3. This will be Payload's real testament of where they can hold up and where they sit in the pecking order. Going against Soul Reaper, one of the strongest solo queue mid laners in the community, is your real just like test of skill, as Soul Reaper's already beginning to push up and poke out the Gadget to half health with just a couple auto attacks. Gadget's going to throw the scanner out and get a little slow damage off, but not enough to really mean anything, as Payload is now hitting level 2 first and having to burn the passive, as Soul Reaper's R2000 rocket does manage to chip out a little more damage, and it's going to be Payload backing up a little further. I think both those pots have already been burned down, as we have the junglers actually mirroring the sides they're on. They're both looking to gank that dual lane. That's where Kalari's positioned herself. She's going to be passing to the blue side right now, or the left side of the map right now, as Grux is doing the same thing.
What we just saw here in this off lane is the strength of this Aurora. I think every game that I've seen Aurora played, she is at that tower line, pushed all the way up, just keeping her opponent under the tower with little to nothing they can do. He uses his, oh wait, Chicken might be in danger, forced to flash in the enemy red side.
Yeah, and there's going to be the flash out from Kalari, as the team is starting to posture some early game fights and damage. I know Soul Reaper likes to be aggressive. It's one of the staples of his playstyles, and one of the reasons why people actually like to watch him. He's going to manage to grab himself a pink buff. Is he going to secure the other river buff? That is the question, as he is. Yeah, he's positioning himself to take it, forcing Gadget to back and giving himself that very first early game lead that we are seeing. And like I said, he's very well known for. In the dual lane right now, the teams are looking to maybe see a little action in the next few minutes, but overall, fairly quiet right now. What do you think the team should be positioning for?
Well, I think really both teams are just trying to get something going. They really want to make sure that this Sparrow isn't able to get ahead. Pop Hero in the area, just like playing defense, and Soul Reaper, as we saw, was positioning to rotate over to that dual lane, as is the Kalari right now on her blue side. So everyone is focusing on this Sparrow, because really that's the win condition of the enemy team. Get your Sparrow big enough, get your Sparrow to late game, and Sparrow will do everything by herself.
And it's going to be the name of the game. Like, there's a lot of times in any sort of environment where you do want to play through your off lane. If you can get your off laner ahead, you can really do a lot of damage and sack your dual lane. But it's very clear what both teams want to do, and that is play through the dual lane, get their ADC ahead, because it's that dual lane that's going to win this game. Either that very big high win rate Sparrow or the Twin Blast that gets to utilize that early game focus. And from there, they'll be able to do a whole lot more. I'm not too sure how the teams are going to position themselves to play out with Fangtooth just spawning now, but it's being a little methodical right now. Like there's signs of small aggression, as we are seeing Chicken get pulled in by the Grux. Pop here able to secure the very first kill of the game. Soul Reaper's there as well. He's gonna have to blink out because he has no mana as he gets invaded on his own jungle. Steel rotating in to try and dissuade Pop Hero from being able to do the 5 camps, but it might not be enough. He does manage to secure a couple minions. He's going to pull in. The Steel as Pyrex comes in to help out as well. That lane is very shoved in. Kind of weird to see Steel just, not worry about his own wave, and he's instead focusing that 5 camp and trying to add a little bit of pressure, or stop the pressure for his Kalari. Not too sure how that is playing out for him right now. And in the duo lane, we are now seeing just more CS, more farming. Is there anything going on that you've noticed or mentioned in the last couple of minutes?
Well, we saw the first blood going onto that Kalari. Sorry, going onto the Grux because they killed the Kalari. I don't know how you can phrase that sentence, but Kalari died, and it's because she burned the blink a little bit earlier in the opponent's red side. And so then once Grux was able to just get into range, the Kalari can't really go anywhere. She can move vertically and she can use her ult to get away, but prior to level 6, obviously no ult, so just going vertically, Grux just waits there at the bottom. He's like, the moment you land, I'm pulling you right back in, and that is exactly what happened. They also force the blink on Soul Reaper, the payload looking a little bit more comfortable in the mid for the next few minutes, probably, and that's pretty huge. You don't want your Kalari going down for first blood. You want your Kalari to be the one getting that first blood. This character really relies on getting early ganks off and getting kills, especially on squishy characters like the Sparrow. So I'm surprised there hasn't been a lot of, focus on ganking that lane. There's been a lot of farming, and I think Chicken maybe wants to hit 6 before that happens.
It's kind of a weird thing because Kalari is a disruptor champion. She wants to set the pace either by invading or getting those early ganks off. Grux is a similar style champion, a duelist with a lot of early game power. So both characters need that early game lead and need those early game ganks off in the jungle in order to excel or even be relevant within the next 5-10 minutes afterwards the game has started. But we're not seeing that right now.
Oh, Grux does get the benefit though of being, still a bruiser, a character with 3 forms of CC. He's got a knock up, he's got a pull, he's got an AoE stun. So even if he's like behind and he might have to sack himself in a team fight, he can still do an initiation, a blink in, stun, pull, knock up. He can get multiple people and set a fight up even if he's traded out.
And that is going to be definitely the case. We are hoping to see a posture on the Fangtooth soon. Both teams very, very quiet right now, like just kind of taking their time to do whatever they need to do, get that farm. I'm pretty sure they're, if we're looking at the semifinals here, so people don't want to overextend or make any silly plays. In the duo lane, Argus is level 5 with no mana, and this could open up what we need to see to start this game off. Black Tornado flying in, dashing forward, and using all those abilities to apply a bit of damage onto the Sparrow, who is now alone. DlusionalNinja going to walk off and ward the jungle out, creating a little more space as Argus is now beginning to come back to the lane in the off lane. And there is a kill in the mid lane. It's the solo Bolo just off the screen as we are now watching Chicken in the off lane going for that first invade, getting caught by the Hoarfrost, and Sneaknix with a steel slam on the shield slam on the steel to go in. Nice long trade, but it's going to be last Pyrex using the last bit of mana to dash away with that ice wall on Aurora.
Did you see what happened? The Hoarfrost blocked Chicken's ultimate. The Kalari ultimate went nowhere, right into the Hoarfrost, and was stuck. This character is just so strong. She pulls out 2 ultimates from her opponent and gets away scot-free. Doesn't even burn the flash.
I mean, it's like you don't really have to when you have 4 forms of CC and escape and self-heal. Like, why do I need to flash? There's just no reason for it at all. He should have been dead to rights in any other situation or any other character, not for Aurora. always going to get out. Almost not even worth ganking if you think about it. Like, you can just put your efforts. It's like ganking a Gideon that has CC. You're better off putting your efforts elsewhere on the map and actually just, you know, going through there.
Yeah, I really want to see some pressure applied to payload or potentially into this duo lane, so that control of this Fangtooth can be gone to the side of you know, Soul Reaper and his team. Pop Hero, though, he is looking at this Fangtooth for his team.
And what is interesting here,
tanking this Sparrow.
And Chicken's going to dash forward as Pop Hero is going to secure the objective. They are able to pick up a kill onto the Sparrow. Soul Reaper now walking into the mid lane to apply pressure as we are seeing the fight break out in the jungle of the dust side of the map. Soul Reaper going for the first ultimate of the game that we have seen, and it's going to not secure the kill on the Grux. He has no mana left, so he needs to back up, but he applies enough pressure for his team to just do what they need to do. And they could even look at that 5 camp right now for Chicken. No one's there to stop him.
Oh, no one at all. That was pretty successful for both teams, I'd say. The Sparrow went down, which is a big part of the game plan of Delusional Ninja's team.
They need to secure that Sparrow
at the same time, yeah, Fang 1 goes down. Fang 1, not the most important objective in the game. It is still a neutral objective, and it's really important to get those. But it's not Fang 2, it's not Fang 3, and it's not Mini Prime. It's just Fang 1, but it's important to start the snowball going. Right. So they might lose their carry, but eventually, potentially the stats from Fang 2, 3 are going to, you know, mean way more than that death in the early game.
I think the way Fangtooth plays out, if you're able to secure the early game Fangtooth, and snowball that into the second Fangtooth, it is definitely worth, you know, I'll take the trade on the ADC for that early game Fangtooth if I'm able to transition it somewhere else, which we are seeing Pop Hero do right now. They're now looking at that Mini Prime at 12 minutes in the game. Kalari is on her 5 camp, so not really in the position to answer. They don't even know what's actually happening, to be perfectly honest, and they're going to take that Pop Hero getting body blocked by his own teammate, showing a little bit of frustration. Swinging those clubs at the back of Yoror's head, but he's not going to do anything major. Just go into the 3 camp, add that farm, and maybe use that Mini Prime to just clear a little faster.
Absolutely. That's 2 objectives already taken for that team, the orange side, and now probably going to use this Mini Prime to help out Payload in the mid lane, potentially push down that objective, or maybe here in the duo lane, as they are currently winning this lane, their tower still at full health.
Nova goes out, lands a stun, followed by the crystal. It's Black Tornado who's in a lot of trouble as Sparrow stepping up with her own ultimate. She has next to no health. Chicken walks in. The Ventilate secures the kill onto Jbozo, and that's followed up by Argus going down himself in the off lane. We are now seeing the push from Pop Hero as he's going to get that primed up wave into the tower. They're going to secure the last hit on it and then barrel down to the T2. The wave is pushing up right behind them. Pop Hero there looking to maybe get a little more damage. The Iceborne Talons comes down to apply that damage for the minions and the allies of his team. And she's going to back up as Seeknix managed to get a stun off and apply a little damage. There's the shield slam from the steel as we now have Soul Reaper rotating in to offer help. He's going to miss the flower bomb, taking too long to get in for his teammate and help him out. That's going to be the death of Steel as they walk away in the off lane. We now have Soul Reaper going to make it rain. He lands in the Hoarfrost. Muriel following up the Versatile Fortune, able to save Soul Reaper the last possible second, but Pop Hero is going to secure that kill as the rest of the team begins to fall through. Delusional Ninja having to blink away, and that is going to be a nice fat trade in favor of Delusional Ninja's team.
Have 3 ultimates used and still 2 of you go down. That is not looking good for them. And now it's left this Twin Blast alone. That's what happens when you use your Muriel ult all the way to the off lane. Hopefully Sparrow and Pushka can push in this wave, get a lot of damage onto Black Tornado and his tower.
And it's going to be the case as the tower is taking some damage. Black Tornado is able to safely clear that wave just a bit. We were not complaining, but we were commenting about how slow the first 10 minutes are, and now it's just like ultimate, fight. I'm starting to have a hard time catching a breath here, and if that's how the rest of this series is going to go, we could be in for a banger.
I'm also not really sure why there's all this action at this point in the game. Both neutral objectives down, so there's not really much to fight for. They got the tier 1 tower in the offlane, and then they just kept pushing forward, causing that fight, but they probably weren't going to get a wave into that tier 2 anyway. So I think it's just kind of fighting for the sake of fighting, and hopefully there's a fight that, you know, produces something of note in a second, because the Fangtooth is coming up very, very soon.
And that is the case. I hear a lot from the EU players saying they like to say that NA fights for the sake of fighting, as you said. Pop Hero now doing just that as the Make It Rain has to blow through, but Aurora's wall is going to block off the howitzer. Walking through the crack, he is able to get under his tower, but it's not going to be enough as Pyrex, Payload, and Pop Hero are all there to secure the kill. In response, it's going to be Jbozo starting the objective. Fangtooth now should be sitting at just under a third health. The team walking in to do what they can. Aurora going to apply the shield wall, forcing Steel to have to shield slam over the ice. That's the verticality we need, followed by the microwave on Payload, and they are going to secure yet another kill. It's 2 down in favor of DlusionalNinja and the rest of her team, and that's going to be higher. Jbozo following up, getting yet another kill, 3-1 trade, and that's going to be a third objective on the map in favor of Ninja's team.
Will trade out Pushka though.
There we go. The last little bit following it. There's your consolation prize, Kalari.
Yeah, well, it's good that it went onto the Kalari. Kalari wants to get some kills, wants to get some items, so that eventually she can just kill Jbozo, and maybe that's what she's actually looking to do right now, or maybe just steal the gold buff. Looks like a little bit of a gold buff steal there.
Oh, there you go. So Kalari's gotten 2 small consolation prizes. Say, hey, I guess you killed my entire team, but, you know, take this. That just a little, like, literal twisting the dagger, so to speak, in the mid lane. Soul Reaper is now trying to take down that mid lane tower. They are able to clear the wave away from him, so he's not securing it just yet. River buffs haven't spawned. He's looking to take the one on the right. This allows someone to position for the left one, or maybe a counter gank as Pop Hero, sorry, lots of P's today, is looking to rotate in, but Soul Reaper has a very nice ward off on the side that lets him know he needs to rotate to the left river buff instead. Pop Hero is going to secure that one out, and now he's looking at invading the mid lane anyways through that staircase, jumps down, managed to get hit by the Howie Mine in. The Make It Rain comes out to save the day for Soul Reaper. Just a lot of fighting breaking out here. Oh my lord, T.
Yeah, they really want to focus on this mid lane. That's what they've been doing. The Grux has rotated into that lane constantly. Even the Aurora's come twice just to kill this howitzer. They want that tower because once you get mid tier 1, that does open up a lot of potential for map control. And if you compare the 2 towers, Soul Reaper, despite the attention that he's been receiving from the enemy team, Payload's tower is the one that is lower. So any kill onto Payload will secure that tower instantly. They need to reapply pressure onto Soul Reaper so that they can, you know, have the tower go down for them instead. And that's what they've been doing.
And I think what they're going to do is look into the dual lane, but it is currently warded. So the second chicken walks by. They are going to see what he's up to. Invisibility or not, it won't be enough. However, Jbozo walking up alone into the enemy team. The neck's going to go through, and Chicken is going to secure the kill despite having the perfect vision on top of that dual lane. Pushka backing up. I think the call was missed because Pushka backed up, and then Sparrow, of all people, walks in for vision that he already had. I'm not too sure what the call is there, but we are seeing the mini prime come through.
Chicken has been doing pretty well going for these kills on Sparrow, and I said that's what they're going to want to do. But I think implied, I never said it, but implied was so that they could get objectives too, and they haven't been able to do so. The Grux on the other team, Pop Hero, he has been completely dominant in the objective game. 4 of the 4 objectives have been taken by this Grux.
I don't think that Kalari is in the position to take objectives. I am aware that Kalari can actually solo objectives, and I don't think a lot of people are sure of that one or aware of that one.
Best at soloing objectives first,
which is funny. You wouldn't actually expect it, right?
Yeah, no, you don't. She just has enough damage
to survive long enough to just not have to worry about surviving long enough. She just actually secures it down.
Yeah, it's a DPS check for her as opposed to a game of survivability.
Yeah, that's fair. I do see a lot of my games. Kalari is actually able to just, rip through objectives on her own. You don't expect, you're like, wait a second, that's not a Chimera. That's an assassin. But with how the game's played out and the advantage and posturing and macro that Pop Hero and the rest of his team is just managing to pull off, Kalari's not really able to do a whole lot there. Needs to look for a couple more picks, I think. I'm not too sure, but I think we are going to see a fight break out in just a second.
I actually don't think so. I think Chicken might look for a gank, but as long as the enemy duo lane is safe under their tower, I don't think there's a real possibility. What you want to pay attention to right now is Pop Hero. Where is he going? Is he going to put his attention in mid to secure that tier 1 tower? Is he going to go to duo? But he's going to choose either one because, of course, he's got that mini prime, the final mini prime of the game, and it looks like mid is the intention as last Pyrex has rotated as well.
I would have liked to see Chicken, barrel down that mid lane and open it up against the gadget, because that would have allowed him to have a lot more opportunities to play through the map. Hasn't been the case yet, as Pop Hero is now looking to section off the rest of the team. Chicken standing not too far away, going to jump over the wall to get in the back line of his own team. Howitzer throwing out the R2000 to get a little poke damage off onto Pop Hero. Pushka there as well. They're looking to just back up. There's not a whole lot for them to really fight over, just position themselves for that Fangtooth. A few more abilities do fly out, getting that poke damage off, but all of them are going to miss as Kalari is now sitting in the wings, waiting to get that pick on to the enemy team. It's going to follow up. Seeknik starting the fight. They're actually able to secure the kill onto the Twin Blast off on the side, but by the 5 camp, they're engaging. Double flash going out. It's going to be Chicken securing a kill onto the Argus as the fight continues in the Fang Pit. Jbozo backing off right now as we see, as Pop Hero is going to use the Aurora Ice Wall to get into the 5 camp and apply some more damage. Howitzer with the R2000 to create some space and some damage for the team. It's going to be Pop Hero and Pyrex stuck in the baby's corner, next to no health and going down. And this is the fight that we need to see in this game to put the teams back in their place. Pyrex and Seeknix both next to no health. Everyone's going to disengage as Jbozo's now looking to run down that lane. Payload dropping himself another kill, taking the steal down. Please tell us what happened, because that fight was all over the place.
Well, immediately both junglers rushed the back line. Kalari went for the support, went for the Argus. On the other side, it was the Twin Blast who was focused down by Pop Hero, immediately killed, then quickly followed up by killing the Muriel. On the other side, there was a huge engagement around red buff, around that 5 camp, and it just got sloppy. And eventually, the respawns and the fact that the base was close before the orange team gave them the advantage, and now gave them the 3rd Fangtooth. This has been a dominant showing from this team.
Aurora doing a great job of sectioning off the enemy team with the wall, and there is the Warlord challenge from Pop Hero. He's going to run down the enemy team. Payload getting another kill onto Twin Blast as Black Tornado does go down, and they're looking to secure that tier 1 tower in the right lane. They are showing absolute dominance 23 minutes into this game.
It's I wouldn't be surprised if we see, honestly, the Orb Prime go down very, very soon. This team has had complete control of these objectives, and that's what you really want to see. You say that these guys play together in Smite, right?
The Jbozo's team, from what I've been told, are a few friends who are Smite players. I'm not too sure about Pop Hero, but I think the more less known names on that team, or not less known, but less recognized names, are a bunch of friends on Smite. So they're playing quite well together, clearly.
They are showing that they have a lot of experience playing together. Pop Hero has been controlling this game silently. He's not ganking a lot, but that's not what a jungler is supposed to do at all times. Depends on the character you play. Grux, very good at taking objectives, so that's what he's focusing on.
Yeah, and Grux wants, like we said earlier in the game, Grux wants that early game lead, those early game ganks off. You need to play that macro smart on champions that will fall on their face the second they die, not even twice, once in the early game. The funny thing is both junglers are playing that style of heroes. Last Pyrex now has that momentum buff, going to look in as Chicken's going to double jump over the wall, up the ledge. Pyrex looking to get out as Seeknix is there to push the enemy team out of that jungle. They are looking to set up for that orb prime that you just mentioned. I wonder how this is going to break out, and it should start just a second from now.
I think they're probably, I was going to say, I
There
think
it
they're
is,
just
there it is.
looking for a setup, but no, Jbozo has immediately gone after this prime. He's been starting these objectives while Pop Hero looks for engagements, but now it looks like their attention has turned from the objective to the fight.
My Soul Reaper going to pop the Make It Rain to try and give himself some space once again. There is Gadget dropping the payload of the Tesla Dome, able to create some zoning and some distance. The Ventilate comes out from Black Tornado, who's able to walk away with next to no health. His own team is going to see a little bit of trouble as they're trying to secure who they can. Soul Reaper picks up the kill onto the Sparrow as Chicken's trying to run down the Aurora with Seeknix right behind them. She is stuck in the prime pit, but using the ice wall and the clone to dash out of their payload, picking up the kill off screen onto the Twin Blast. Chicken in a bit of trouble right now as he's overextending for the enemy team. He had the opportunity to secure the kill onto the Aurora, but Aurora's a little too tricky and a little too slippery. Able to lock you down and able to pick up the kill on the Kalari. A bit of a weird engagement overextension, I think, onto that prime pit. They needed to do something more than how that played out.
I really liked what happened for Jbozo there. Sorry, for Delusional Ninja. They were able to, immediately take out Pop Hero. The enemy jungler was gone, and then the whole focus of the enemy team had to be diverted from the Orb Prime to the fight, and they all somehow got out at 1 HP. I think a reset would have been good there, but the fact is they went right back in after they had all been low, and then they all just got killed. So I think this objective would have gone to the hands of the blue side if they had just been a little bit more
cautious
and a little bit more careful and a little bit more controlled in their aggression.
People want to flare their egos. They want to show off. They're going to risk it all for that biscuit, because if they manage to make that risky play work, then it really sets their team ahead. Pyrex now walking into Chicken and Soul Reaper, going to drop down the Hoarfrost and jump away with the clone as the Deathmark does a little bit of damage, followed by the Howitser's Mines actually chunking out Aurora a decent bit down to a quarter health. Black Tornado now a few levels under the enemy Sparrow, just trying to get whatever farm that he can in the mid lane. He's positioned himself very well, I think, to rotate to an objective as needed, but it is Jbozo going to secure that duo lane T1 finally, and then go into the gold buff. But we have in the off lane Pyrex possibly in troubles once again as Chicken and Soul Reaper looking to get the kill. Make It Rain coming out, forcing the flash out of Pyrex, who's going to use the cryoseism to try and apply whatever time she can, but it won't be enough as Soul Reaper managed to secure the kill onto the Aurora.
And the minions were just barely not enough. Chicken gets out at a sliver of HP despite all those minion basic attacks slapping him in the face. And so unlucky there for the Aurora, and now it's a 4-on-5 here around this Fangtooth. And keep in mind, this is Primal. This is the big one. The burn is really good, honestly, for both sides of the equation. Pop Hero does not want to go down here.
But he does actually manage to overextend into the mid lane for a couple of minions, forcing the flash out and the Iceborne Talons. This gives Soul Reaper and the rest of his team the amount of time they need to apply some pressure and counter play. Chicken does secure the kill onto Sparrow off screen, and they are going to finally look at getting their first Fangtooth, a Primal Fangtooth, onto the board for their team. We are saying objective dominance, but now at this point in the game, it's starting to hit anyone's game. The score lines are fairly even. Soul Reaper doing a good job of zoning the enemy team off, and that Primal Fangtooth is going to go for free in favor of Soul Reaper and his team. We are seeing the teams back up now. They were looking to pressure a little more, but that reset is the smart thing to do.
Yeah, and Pop Hero definitely doesn't want to go and meet anyone in the river there. If he goes down, it's a guaranteed Orb Prime. It is potentially still an Orb Prime opportunity for the blue side. They do have this Fangtooth. They do have this Primal Burn. And that's an advantage in the fight coming up prior to this Orb Prime. It doesn't take much to have a comeback. One one Fangtooth, the Primal, one Orb Prime, and you can really open up the map.
In Chicken coming in now, playing the Death Mark, the Double Dagger, and following through with the Guillotine. Able to almost kill Pop here, who's now in a lot of trouble. Seekness coming in and just going to bop Grux in the head with the side of the shield. I wanted to comment a second ago, you don't even need to die in order to have the tables flip around. You just need to overextend for a few minions, which we saw Pop Hero do, and that caused a Fangtooth. And it just happened again. Pop Hero having such a strong, showing in the first half of the game, making some odd decisions at this point and kind of allowing the enemy team, Ninja and the rest of her team, to come back in the game, possibly secure that Orb Prime completely uncontested, which does seem to be the case. We did see Argus and Gadget, applying a bit of poke down to see if they can maybe steal it just off a fluke chance, but that wasn't the case. And this now gives Ninja, the rest of our team, both a Primal Fangtooth and an Orb Prime.
Yeah, now I expect a big reset to be coming out, and then a big group up in mid with potentially this Kalari going on a split push here on left. That's a character that's very good at split pushing because, of course, once they have the primed up minions, they're still super mobile, so they can just get out if they get engaged on. And much like a Kalari, as we said, can solo an objective early in the game, a Kalari can definitely solo a tower. The DPS check is an easy pass.
And that seems to be the case. We have a 1-2-1 split right now across the, and I think it's 1-3-1. I just can't see that last character on the screen. Shield wall coming down from Steel to apply a little bit of protection for that minion wave to come through. They're just throwing grenades at that tower for some reason. Doesn't actually do damage to the
it
towers,
doesn't.
I believe.
It does apply your passive so that now after that you can deal 2 quick basic attacks, right? So that using your abilities on the tower, you're not actually using it on the tower, you're using it to then use basic attacks. That's the full goal there.
We were seeing the Muriel off lane rotate into the mid lane with the reversal of fortune, forcing a nice little man advantage, and that's going to be Puchka having to flash away. It might not be enough as Soul Reaper is able to secure the kill despite being hit by the Hoarfrost, the max range going through and actually able to apply a power play even further for Ninja's team. In the duo lane, it's Kalari rotating in, and Jbozo could be in a little bit of trouble if that Sparrow does not position correctly. Right now, it's just the back and forth. We are seeing very good macro through, and there's the big shield wall, not shield wall, but the ice wall from Aurora to slow down the tempo of Ninja and the rest of her team. I think the inhib will fall down. We are seeing a lot of just poking, posturing, positioning, and both teams doing a good job of doing what they need to do to buy themselves that time. Pop Hero going in is followed up by Aurora with the Cryoseism onto the back line. It could just be enough to secure the kill as Soul Reaper is going to drop the slow mines, and getting away at the last possible second is both the Twin Blast and the Howitzer and the Aurora. No kills traded through on anyone. Everyone walking with next to no HP, but they are looking to chase them down. Red Nova being flown out just to see if it lands by the Argus, as Soul Reaper with next to no health running through the map looking for that max range rocket, able to pick himself up a river buff.
What we saw there was what I pointed out in the draft phase. Aurora is so good at playing base defense. Yeah, she, was into 2 major buffs, right? The Orb Prime and the Primal Fang, and it just didn't matter. Her wall, her Hoarfrost, her ability to just go in, ultimate, use her damage, and just keep people at bay is ultimately so powerful.
Fangtooth is coming up right now, and we are seeing
here on the other side of the map too.
He's backing, he's doing what he can, but it might not be enough. Builds are coming through fairly heavily, as most players in the game are either hitting their level 16 spike or are actually hitting max build, and we are seeing both Chicken and Soul Reaper at level 18, so they're not going much further. It's now a catch-up game available for the rest of the players of Payload and Pop Hero. And Jbozo, just seeing how it goes. Argus still only level 12, and I think that is a concerning part because even Muriel is 2 levels ahead of that of the Argus.
Yeah, but Muriel doesn't really offer the same, engage potential that an Argus does, right?
Right.
She is mostly a defensive, healer style support. Argus, he can set something up from really far away, and levels don't really matter when all you need to do is hit one stun, which I assume he's maxed first. So it really
Would
doesn't
hope so.
matter.
Both teams are positioning for this Fangtooth. Chicken in the spot, looking to sweep out the enemy jungle and allow that vision control for his team. He hasn't hit the 2 wards in between those towers just yet. He did walk by them, but he's looking for them there. He managed to find them. Pyrex in an opposition, getting hit by the howitzer mine, knocked up and backwards.
More sentries, though.
And yeah, they're just doing their best to try and clear everything out. Pyrex now looking to heat pressure for his team and possibly engage as Chicken there on the wing, invisible, able to hit the death mark and the double dagger onto the Aurora. Just a little damage as Pop Hero now dashing in to the back line. He's able to do what he needs and forces the back on Soul Reaper, Black Tornado, and Steel. Gadget is dropping the Tesla Dome in the off lane. Is a nice little split push coming out of DlusionalNinja. Such a good decision from that Muriel, able to secure that T2 in the side lane, forcing the back of Pop Hero and the rest of his team, and that could create the space they need to grab a bigger objective.
Oh, that's what you want to do. That's one of the big strengths of Muriel. That's probably one of the reasons that she has this level advantage over the Argus. She has been soloing waves all the way over there because, yeah, it's a 4v5, but it's not a real 4v5 because Muriel is going to fly right back into the fight and heal up that character you thought was dead. And speaking of dying, Primal Fangtooth going to fall very easily for the blue side. That's an easy objective there, and potentially now on the other side as well. We saw what happened last time. They got the Primal, and then they easily got the Orb.
Muriel's macro play, giving themselves the time to get that Prime Fangtooth completely uncontested. That's one of the things that Muriel has such a strong advantage of, as we just discussed. But seeing how they're going to play out in the next couple minutes, the score has been 15-15. The trades and kills have been even across the whole game. Seeing what happens next is going to be really interesting because we're hitting those late game death timers. Mid lane is pushed up in favor of Ninja's team, forcing Pop Hero to try and buy some time and get those waves reset. I believe this does mean that Chicken and his team are going to look at the Orb Prime, maybe take it down. But everyone's posturing in a weird spot, allowing Pop Hero to potentially overextend and clear another wave as the teams continue to posture for that Orb Prime, knowing the second something happens, it's going to explode. They have decided to start. It's over halfway done. Damage being applied. Jbozo looking to get the corners. The Dreadnova lands. Pyrex getting the cross, has them off into the Tesla Dome. They're chewing through the enemy team. The X-Men is secured away from Pop Hero's team, and they're just completely dismantling what's left as Pop Hero now rotating in, trying to take them down. They were able to secure the Orb Prime, but at what cost as the almost full ace goes through? Solely the last one alive with that Orb Prime.
And sadly, the Primal Burn was not enough to take down Pyrex. They're not able to trade out even one kill for himself. Pop Hero, with that macro play of pushing out the mid lane while he knew exactly where everyone was, he was overextended around other objectives where he was going for a wave. But this time, it didn't work out like that because, of course, they had full vision of the enemy team. When you're on the orange side, you can look into the pit, and you don't need a ward to see all 5 players on that objective. So Pop Hero knew he was safe. He knew he was able to push some waves and knew he was able to get a really good flank. And combined with that, the Sparrow came around the corner as well. And the ultimate from the Sparrow wasn't blocked by the Steel because the Steel was using it to block things on the other side of the fight, what was in front of him. He wasn't expecting the Sparrow behind.
And it's such an interesting decision to make there because, yeah, he had the wave shove, but he's opening his team to just lose the objective. It does pay off for him in the long run as they are able to secure the 4 kills on Ninja's team and get that extra big advantage. The score is now 16-18 at 39 minutes around the corner. Riverbus have spawned. Pop Hero taking the pink buff. There's a nice little orange buff on the other side that if Grux is able to secure, that's going to be a very nasty thing to walk into. And I think he's able to secure it. Chicken nearby looking for the river buff potentially himself. We may see a collision in the mid lane, but it doesn't seem to come to fruition as the teams are trying to secure whatever they can. They need to use the orb buff on Soul Reaper while they have the chance. He's the only one with it right now.
I think they're not really going to look for a push. I think because, you know, Soul Reaper is the only one with that Prime, and previously with all 5 members with Prime, they weren't able to break the base. I think what they actually need is a successful team fight like what happened to them, you know, a huge wipe. So instead, they're going to be looking for kills just like this prior to an objective or prior to being able to push down a wave. Everyone grouped here on the left side of the map.
Chicken walking right into the enemy Aurora. Aurora wants nothing to do with it as she doesn't know who else is in the wings waiting to secure that kill onto that very slippery champion. Doesn't matter how slippery you are. If there's 5 people locking you down and blowing you up, you're not going a whole lot of anywhere. So they are looking to prioritize the left side of the map on both teams. Maybe we see the Muriel rotate into the off lane once again and buy that team time to take the Primal Fangtooth from across the map. Like you said, every single time, all you have to do is wait for the fight to break out or wait for the rotate to come through, and you just use Reversal of Fortune to ult across the map. Then, you know, you get the man advantage.
Pop Hero, I don't know if I like them having this red. I really would like to see it on the Sparrow at this point in the game. Level 17 on Jbozo. Sparrow with red can just run, can turn the tables. Previously, she was getting ran at. Now she, with a red, can run at you. Pop Hero already able to kind of do that. I don't think the red is really going to benefit him in the same way it'll benefit Sparrow. It's a huge power spike for an ADC.
In the early game, you know, the junglers always want their buffs. As the game progresses, I will always die on the hill that as a jungler, you're not taking my blue buff. Just get used to it. But, you know, that red buff for a ranged character is really what you want. And Sparrow able to apply, Sparrow being able to apply that red buff across a whole team with her ultimate is immensely valuable. Chicken now walking in. They are going to look to get a pick onto Pop Hero, who's able to just flash away at the nick of the next to no health. The flash coming through from Chicken. He's looking to land the dagger. He's going to miss it. Pop Hero going to try and pull in the enemy team, but he's now in a bit of trouble as they are looking to focus down the enemy jungler. Jbozo able to secure the kill on to the enemy jungler. Kalari going down as they are following up. Soul Reaper getting a hail onto Pop Hero. Managed to get that initial target down. Pyrex in a bit of trouble. He walks right into the mines that Soul Reaper threw out. Make It Rain coming through onto the Sparrow, doing what he can. The R2000 should go out. It does land, but it doesn't actually, oh my God. Steel coming through, securing the kill onto the Sparrow, and they are going to walk away. That is a 1-for-4 trade, possibly 5 as Black Tornadoes looking to throw the ego out, and he blinks into the inhib. Ninja on Muriel going to put down the consecrated ground, drop the shield bubble, and this opens up the mid lane. We could be looking at the end of the game. That is a 60-second death timer across the board. The next person to spawn aside from the gadget is going to be 40 seconds on payload. A reset coming through from Ninja, possibly an objective shortly after.
Looks like the Primal Fang. Look, if Predecessor had a teleport ability or a teleport sum spell or teleport scrolls or whatever, I think that would have been the end of the game. Steaknix was just way too low, and Payload is able to, you know, clear waves so easily that the damage would be a little bit too much for him and his relatively low teammates. So they had to take the reset, they had to fall back, and they had to get this Primal Fang. And look what they're doing. They're making sure to hold it so that their Kalari gets this as well. Primal Burn on that character, her assassination attempts are going to be more likely to be successful. And for the 3rd time in a row, Primal Fang is taken for the blue side, and that also means they get that 3rd Fang buff finally 43 minutes into the game.
Grux having such a strong showing in the early game. As the game's progressed, we are seeing you know, a complete swing in objective takes, and now we said they had an advantage before, but now the game is dead even. We haven't talked about builds a whole lot. Pop Hero's transitioned straight into a frontline build. He has the Basilisk for the armor shred, and then he has the Earth Shaker to try and get that extra ability damage through. But aside from that, he's full tank. On the other side, There's an Infernum on that Kalari with Tainted Trident as they take the Orb Prime, but Trident and Infernum stack on top of each other. And then now there's a Primal Fangtooth buff on that. So like,
I don't see a Trident.
I saw a Trident a second ago. I don't know who's, he might have sold it for the Dread, but it was definitely there before that last back.
Yeah, what happened prior to that that Primal Fang and that successful team fight, and then of course the inhibitor, was that once again Pop Hero was the one looking at these waves and pushing them out. I really don't like that is what keeps happening, and I think it might be too late to correct in this game, but really I would have liked to see it be Pyrex who's pushing out these waves in these risky positions so that their jungler wasn't punished so heavily, and then of course objectives go so freely to the blue side. But Chicken here, just posturing in the mid lane, going to push out these waves and throw out daggers as much as he can so that the waves will crash into the base and distract, while 3 of his team members are going to push down that right inhibitor for free, because of course the Aurora not on that side of the map. That's the second inhibitor. And the third one being pushed up with the minions, with the Muriel, it's going to come shortly after.
They might be looking to just straight up secure the end of the game as they are posturing around that core, waiting for a minion wave as Muriel is beginning to bring it in to that left side inhib on the dual lane. We have Steel and Twin Blast just trying to clear the wave as possible to bring it up. No one's going to try and bother contesting that inhib. There's not the time. If anyone goes down, it spells the end of the game for both sides of the map. Slowly for throwing with the mine, landing on the Pop Heroes. Argus drops the crystal down to apply a little bit of damage. The Tesla Dome goes through as Seeknix follows up with his own ultimate onto the Sparrow. They manage to secure the kill onto Jbozo, opening up the game for what could be the very, very end. Pyrex next to no health, able to walk back into the fountain as Pop Hero gets the pull. Core at next to no health. It does manage to secure the first game of the series, 21-20 in favor of Pop Hero's team.